Hey, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a pretty provocative argument from a writer who goes by the Appalachian Gorilla. His whole point? That cheating isn't a winning move. It's for the weak. And that the real weapon, the thing that actually holds power, is honor. So let's break down his case. So let's just jump right in with the big question that sits at the heart of all this. Is cheating actually a winning strategy? I mean, let's be honest. In a world that often feels stacked against you, does cutting corners sometimes feel like the only way to get ahead? Well, this author's answer is a hard no. He flat out argues that cheating is a mindset for the weak, and he puts forward what he thinks is a much more powerful alternative. So now we're going to walk through his entire case for honor, using his own logic and his own examples. All right, so first up, a winning strategy? Let's set the stage a little. The author's whole argument here was actually sparked by a real-life conversation where people around him were basically championing cheating as the key to success. And that got him thinking and pushing back with a totally different take. And this quote from the author himself, man, it really gets to the heart of it. He writes that even if you technically get the W by cheating, that victory just feels hollow. It's this deep personal feeling that a win you didn't truly earn isn't really a win at all. But, and this is important, he gets why people feel the need to cheat. He argues that for a lot of us, especially younger generations, the game of modern society just feels rigged, you know? The rules seem like they're always changing, the goalposts keep moving, and the chances of winning by playing fair feel so slim that cheating starts to look like the only logical move. Okay, so this feeling, this frustration, he says it doesn't just stay a feeling. It actually grows into a whole ideology, a complete worldview that he has a name for, the ideology of cheating. He calls it the elite school of politics. And the whole thing, according to him, boils down to one single core belief, that a small, organized group will always have power over a big, disorganized majority. He claims this one idea is the bedrock that makes people feel helpless and makes cheating seem justified. And according to the author, modern technology just pours gasoline on this fire. Think about it. Long-distance communication, industrialized warfare, and all this technical tracking and monitoring. He says these things give the so-called elite a massive, almost unbeatable advantage, making their power feel totally absolute. But here's where his whole argument takes a really interesting turn. He insists there's a counterforce to all this, something that can actually fight back and level the playing field. And that force, he claims, is honor. So he sets this up as a straight-up clash between two opposing forces. On one side, you've got cheating. He calls this the elite's tool. It's all about cutting corners for individual gain. But on the other side, you have honor. He calls that the people's weapon, which is all about holding to your values and finding strength as a group. And his definition of honor is absolutely crucial here. He's not just talking about being a good person on your own. Nope, he sees it as a collective strategy. It's when a group of people, your people, hold tight to their values and just refuse to back down. That, he says, is what forces everyone, even the most powerful, to compete on a fair and level playing field. So that brings us to the really big question, right? How does this idea of honor actually work? How does it translate from a nice idea into real, actual power? Let's get into the mechanics of what he calls the power of the people. To really get his theory, you have to ask the same question he does. What is the absolute foundation of elite power? Where are they most vulnerable? What's their Achilles heel? And his answer is kind of shocking in its simplicity. It all comes down to one thing: food. He argues that our entire complex civilization, with its armies, its governments, the whole shebang, it's all built on the surplus food that the masses produce. You control the food supply, he says, and you control everything. This all leads to his theory of leverage, and it follows a pretty clear step-by-step logic. 1. Elite power depends entirely on a stable food supply chain. 2. It's the people who do the essential jobs in that chain, the processing, the transport, all of it. 3. So if they act together as a group and withhold their labor, they effectively control the supply. And that leads to the final step, 4. They can then use that leverage to force a level playing field with fair rules that they set.
And he's quick to say this isn't just some abstract theory. He points to a pretty diverse range of historical examples to back it up, from medieval nobles who held power through their land, to powerful modern unions like the meatpackers and the Teamsters, and even, in his view, groups like the mob, who he argues provided a kind of parallel system of protection and rules. But, and this is a huge but in his argument, this power is incredibly fragile. It hinges completely on maintaining that collective honor. He uses Jimmy Hoffa as his case in point, a leader who built an absolute empire of power, but, in the author's view, lost it all when his personal actions made him dishonorable in the eyes of his own people. So this all builds to his final, and honestly, most challenging point. After laying out this whole war between cheating and honor, he basically frames it as a fundamental conflict, one he claims has been raging for thousands of years. And then he turns the question on you, and that leads to this quote, which is his ultimate challenge to the reader. He basically says, look, you can pick apart the details all day, but that's not the point. The real question isn't whether any of this is real or not. It is, what side are you on? He even has a special name for the kind of leaders he thinks are needed on the side of the people. He calls them traitors. Now, to be super clear, this is his term. What he means are elites or people from the management class who decide to switch sides and fight for the masses instead. Now, to illustrate what he means, the author provides this specific list of examples. It's really important that we're clear on this. These are the figures that he personally identifies as traitors. In his view, these are people who come from that management class but have chosen to advocate for the people. This list is absolutely central to his specific argument. So, in the end, this is the choice he lays out for you. On one side, you have the elites. You can sell your soul to a system he calls unmanly. Or, on the other side, you can join the people, a side he defines by values, honor, respect, and community. He presents it as a choice between two totally different ways of being, and he leaves the reader with this final, incredibly provocative question, which we'll leave with you. Who do you want to be? An elite who sells their soul, or a human who fights for their people? It's a stark challenge that really reframes the whole debate. It's not just about strategy anymore. It's about your core identity. What you take from this argument, well, that's up to you. Thanks for watching The Explainer.